Happy Friday. I hope you have had a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining me today. All right, we're going to get straight into it because today we are talking about excuses. Now, if you are not ready to make a change, your excuses are going to really hold you where you are. There's a great saying that it says you can. Um, I'm going to muff this up, but there's something about you can make a plan or you can make an excuse, but you can't do both. And I know that's not the exact quote, but it's in that sort of realm, okay? And I'm going to talk a lot about our excuses that we have, and I am guilty of this as well. I certainly will make up excuses when I don't want to do things. And this purpose of this live is to bring some awareness around the language that we're saying, around the excuses that we're using, but also to give you a little bit of understanding why it happens and then give you some actionable steps if you're ready to not let your excuses keep you stuck anymore. Okay. Now, we've all done it. I'll start Monday, I'm going to do this. We make these big proclamations over the weekend, usually, about our health. I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to start eating healthy. I want to stop eating sugar. And then when tomorrow comes, it's not as easy, okay? Because we allow these excuses to keep us stuck. Now, why does that happen? Why is it so easy for those excuses to keep us stuck where we are? Well, part of it is because your brain is wired for efficiency, okay? It wants to keep the status quo. And this is why change can feel so uncomfortable. And then the more we push against change, the stronger the resistance becomes. So, have a think about any time that you or somebody else has said, well, you should eat healthier, you should exercise, you should do this, you should do that. And when it's coming from external, we know what that feels like. It's like, don't tell me what to do. And even when it's coming from internal, so it's your own voice telling yourself what you should be doing, that little voice in our heads of don't tell me what to do kicks in and we turn into this little 2-year-old, okay? And then it's like the more we push against it, the more we crave to have the junk food, or the more we want to do the opposite, okay? So this is just your brain trying to keep you in the homeostasis. What it knows is comfortable, okay? Even if it's not good for you necessarily, it's where everything feels the most comfortable, because outside of that, and this is why they say stepping outside of your comfort zone is where all the growth happens. But to actually step outside there, we need to really look at the excuses that are keeping us inside that comfort zone, okay? So, common things that I know that I have said in the past, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I don't have time to exercise. When the reality is we all have the exact same 24 hours in a day. And it's not that we don't have time, it's that we're not prioritizing certain things, at prioritizing certain activities with the time that we have. That's all it comes down to. Another one is healthy food is too expensive. And unfortunately, it is more expensive than junk food. However, the reality is that all of the junk food, all of the processed food, yes, it might be cheaper short term, but long term, it's going to be very expensive because of what it's doing to your health, okay? And then if we look at medical costs, and there's already, people talking about, or the government talking about having to put a cap on medicines and things. It's like, well, because people can't afford their medicines. In my opinion, a better thing to do would be to really promote the health side of things, so that, yes, it might cost a little bit more now, and it's all topsy-turvy anyway, but you are going to save in the long run, okay, by not having to depend on these medicines and that sort of thing, okay? Another common excuse that people use is that they have bad genes. The reality is, though, that epigenetics shows that lifestyle plays a bigger role than your genetics. Okay, it's our choices, it's how we perceive things, it's how we it's our belief systems, it's a lot of things come into it. It's not just your genes. You don't have to just sort of give up and think, okay, well, I have bad genes, I can see this pattern. What other patterns are there? Are you able to change that? Okay, because there are so many people on this planet who have turned their health around. There's so many inspiring people. And it comes down to them drawing that line in the sand, saying, I'm not going to allow my excuses to keep me stuck anymore. Okay. So when you get to that point, though, it's how we perceive life. Okay, it's how we perceive ourselves. It's what we believe, and what we see is what we believe. And this is where we can get stuck in that loop. Okay, so if we believe I always fail when I go to start exercising or to try and eat healthy, our brain will look for proof of that. It needs to prove us right in what we believe. And this is where the law of vibration comes in, the law of attraction comes in. It's your RAS, your reticular activated system. So whether you are looking at it from the whole law of attraction thing, or you want a more scientific thing side of it, it's all the same thing. It's just got a different name. So what we believe shapes our thoughts, our emotions, our perception of the world, and perception is reality. And then your brain and the law of attraction is trying to prove you right. So if you believe that you're going to fail, you will fail, because it will find things, people, circumstances, find the evidence to prove you right. Okay. And then this is where we could get into that loop. So then it's like this happens. It's going, oh, see, told you so. I failed. I knew I was going to fail. And so we're getting into that loop. And what happens then when we keep repeating it and we keep feeling the emotion that comes with it, because it's not a great feeling when, you don't succeed at something, that actually is strengthening the neural pathways in your brain. So this is making it harder again to change your behavior. Okay, so then you've got that low energy thoughts, low energy vibration, low energy actions. Low energy is attracting more things on that same low energy. Okay, does this make sense? So this is how you can get into that perpetual loop, but you can also get out of it. Now, it's not easy. It takes a commitment, but it is possible. And that's where everyone has to get to that point where they draw that line in the sand. So if you're ready, I'm going to give you some actionable steps that you can do now. If you're not ready, just remember this video, maybe write them down, keep them somewhere, because maybe you're on the way to getting ready. Okay. All right. You are where you are, and that's okay as well. So step number 1, I want you to write down the 3 excuses you tell yourself about your health. Okay. Just start with 3. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. You can always revisit this exercise and do it on some different excuses down the track. Okay. If you can't think of 3, just do it on 1. All right. So whether it is the ones that I mentioned before, I don't have time, healthy food's expensive, I don't know what to cook, I don't know where to start, it's too hard, all of these things, just write down 3 excuses you tell yourself about your health. And then once you've done that, just ask yourself, is this fact? Is it a belief? Is there evidence that is opposite to this? So I don't have time. Is it possible there are people that do have time? Okay, yes, there is. Eating healthy is hard. Is it possible that there are people out there who believe that eating healthy is easy? Okay, so what is the counter evidence? Is it possible that at least one person on this planet has the opposite belief, because they will have the opposite evidence? And if it's possible for somebody else, it means it's possible for you. Okay? And there's so many inspiring stories out there if you go looking for them. Then what I want you guys to do is to reframe the excuse into something that feels more empowering. Okay? So if we're staying on that whole I don't have time excuse, I don't have time to exercise, I don't have time to go to the gym, I don't have time to walk, whatever it is. Maybe you can reframe that to I find the time, I prioritize movement, I prioritize exercise, I prioritize going to the gym because it makes me feel good, because it gives me energy, because it's something I love to do, because it feels good in my body. Okay? Find the words that feel good for you. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or believes, what feels good to you. How can you reframe it? So instead of saying those words and then every time you say, you'll fall back into the old habits, that's normal. That's okay. When you do, just go, oops, hang on a minute. I'm falling into the old habit. I'm saying those words because sometimes they just fall out of our mouth before we even know what's going on. Acknowledge it. Okay, I did that. That's okay though. I've got this reframe that I'm going to say instead. And the more you do that, the more you catch it and the more you turn it around, this is where you're changing those habits. You're changing the wiring in your brain because you're creating different neural pathways. All right? So another one, if you're saying, I have bad genes, it's my genetics, there's nothing I can do about it. Maybe instead of saying that, you can say, well, it's actually my lifestyle choices that shape my health. And I am in control of my choices. That feels so much more empowering, doesn't it? Okay, so this is what I want you to do. So get those excuses, write them down. Ask yourself, is this fact? Is it just a belief? Is it possible somebody else has a completely opposite belief and they have the evidence to support their belief? And then you want to reframe it into something empowering, okay? And then every time you catch yourself falling back into those old habits, it's just an observation. There is zero judgment, okay? It's just an observation. Oops, did it again. That's okay because it's a habit. I'm creating a new habit, and then you just say what your reframed words are, all right? All right, I hope this is making sense. And if you've got questions or you've got maybe an excuse that you have there that you really want to change, you really want to reframe, and you're having a little bit of trouble with that, reach out, ask me. I want to help you guys to turn your language around because your language matters. The words we say, whether they're out loud or in our head, they matter. They make us feel a certain way. And then that will has that flow-on effect of what we do, what we don't do. Okay. All right. So small steps. All right. Remember the law of cause and effect. Small actions create momentum. It'll either be momentum towards what you want or what you don't want. It's the same thing. So these small actions, they create that momentum. So even if you're only spending 5 minutes a day, you can start to shift your reality. Okay, starting small is good as well because that is sustainable. All right, sometimes we want to go all in and change everything all at once, and it's too much. We get overwhelmed and then we sort of just give up and walk away. So the small actions are going to create that momentum. They're going to be sustainable momentum. All right, and just stay aware of your language. Instead of I have to eat healthy, I get to fuel my body. The food I eat fuels my body, okay? I should exercise. Well, I choose to move my body in a way that I enjoy. I choose to exercise. I choose to go to the gym. I choose to go for a walk, okay? Just making these little tweaks in our language makes a big difference as well. All right, so let's just recap before I wrap it up. Start with one small daily habit. Okay, keep it tiny. Start with one, build on that. Maybe you drink more water. Maybe you take a 5-minute walk. Maybe you do a 10-minute yoga at home. All right, start with a small daily habit and build on it. If you need to, schedule into your diary non-negotiable health time. Treat it like it is an appointment to go somewhere, all right? That you wouldn't just at the last minute cancel that appointment. So treat it like that, okay? Even if it's only 10 minutes. Put it in your diary if you need to. Set an alarm. Right, at this time, I'm going to do this exercise. Okay? And it can be a different time each day. It doesn't have to be really rigid. But if that's going to help you, schedule it in. And just change one unhealthy habit at a time. Don't try to overhaul the whole thing and get overwhelmed, okay? Remember, small, actionable, sustainable steps, they are going to build up to big changes over time. You didn't wake up one day really unhealthy. It was all the small little things that you chose to do, like eating the junk food or sitting on the couch. It's the little choices that you chose over the past, however many years or decades, that got you to where you are. So changing those to different choices that are going to move you towards a healthier choices is going to add up over the long term as well. All right, so that is it for today. I'm going to leave you with a quote. I don't know who said this quote, but I love it. And the quote is, "Your body hears everything your mind says, so speak to it with love." All right, everyone, have an amazing day. Drop any comments that you want, maybe some tips that you've used to help overcome excuses. They might be useful for somebody else as well to read. And here's to your good health. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing weekend. And I will see you next week. All right. Bye-bye.